Hey, what's going on? Let's talk a little Miami Dolphins football on Dolphins Today. However, you're accessing today's show. Thanks for making us a part of your day. And what do we got on the docket for today's show? Well, we're dialing up some juicy trade rumors, always looking to improve that Dolphins roster in the midst of the offseason with the combine going on, the draft coming up. Let's sprinkle in a little trade talk as well. So I've identified some trade targets. And maybe while we're talking about the draft, how about the notion of perhaps trading draft picks or maybe stockpiling some draft picks? Either way, we'll break that all down. But before we go any further, how about you join the Dolphins Today family? If you haven't yet already, what the hell are you waiting for? Subscribe to the largest Dolphins community on YouTube. We continue to grow, and grow some more. And that's because we bring you daily Dolphins content covering the aqua and orange from every single angle. Now, I want to start out with a very appealing ordeal as it relates to Chris Grier's approach to this upcoming NFL draft in 2024. And Grier spoke at the NFL Combine and had some interesting remarks, especially as it relates to that number 21 overall pick. Now, as a reminder, the Dolphins picked 21st overall. And I wouldn't call it no man's land, but it's certainly not a position where you feel like you're obtaining this can't-miss player, but at the same time, you're not at the end of the first round, so a little bit of flexibility. And here's what Chris Grier had to say when asked about that 21st overall pick. He said, you have to be open to everything. We're definitely open to moving up. If someone wants to drop to our spot and we move down and pick up extra picks, very open to that. Now, this is particularly intriguing when you consider the Dolphins' current draft capital for 2024, as you'll notice in round 1, obviously picking 21st overall, but let me highlight rounds 3 and 4. You'll notice there, no picks for the aqua and orange. That's because they forfeited the round 3 pick for the tampering violations with Sean Payton and Tom Brady, and that round 4 pick was traded to Denver as part of the Bradley Chubb deal. So, the notion of trading back certainly is appealing because you could perhaps stockpile some picks and fill those holes in either round 3 or round 4. And that's something that when you consider what the Dolphins could potentially do, it certainly begs the question of what direction you want the aqua and orange to go. So let's play our hypothetical game for a second and let me know what you think down in the comments. What should the Dolphins do? Do you want them to trade up in the first round? And that would maybe forfeit some picks down the road, or you'd have to give up somebody on the roster to move up. Or do you want to trade back and, in theory, stockpile picks? And I highlight rounds 3 and 4 just because the Dolphins don't have any picks there. It certainly doesn't have to be in rounds 3 or 4. But just in general, you're stockpiling some draft picks. Or do you like the way the Dolphins currently are and you want them to stay put? Either way, let me know down in the comments. If you want them to trade up, type up. If you want them to trade back, type back. If you want them to stay put, type stay. Now, I like the idea of trading back, and I kind of hinted at it because with the number 21 overall pick, I don't think you're married to any kind of can't-miss player because anybody that you've identified as that can't-miss player, in all likelihood, would be gone at pick number 21, whereas there are some teams behind you that have expressed interest and moving up. And in particular, this could be tricky given that they are in the division. But one trade idea, and there's several different national NFL writers that have alluded to the idea of the Buffalo Bills interested in trading up for one of those can't-miss first-round wide receivers in the absence of Gabe Davis. So, with that said, try this one on for size, an idea I came up with. The Dolphins trading with the Buffalo Bills and picking up the Buffalo Bills' 3rd-round pick and 6th-round pick. So then you would have 3 6th-round picks if you're the Dolphins in exchange for that 21st overall pick, which would then, in turn, have the Dolphins' new draft capital looking a little something like this. You got a pick in round 1, 2, and 3. Still no pick in the 4th round, but then in round 6, that's right, 3 selections if this hypothetical trade were to go through. So let me know what you think of that trade idea. Give me a grade down in the comments. A, B, C, D, or F. Pull out that red pen and let me know down in the comments of the idea of the Dolphins trading with the Buffalo Bills, moving back to 28 in the 1st round, but in return, picking up a third-round pick and a pick in the 6th round from Buffalo and moving back to 28. And I say go for it. If a team wants to move up to 21, certainly explore those options because, again, I think the Dolphins have enough positions of need in the 1st round, in particular at offensive line. It's a deep enough draft. It's a heavy, talented offensive line draft that pick number 28, there's going to be a day one impact player and a day one starter that you could still pick up while still accumulating that precious draft capital later in the NFL draft in rounds 3 and in this case round 6 as well. So if a team is in for it, I say go for it. Now, coming up, we're going to continue to talk about some Dolphins trade rumors, and I've identified some players in particular that Miami should trade for. But right now, I want to give a huge shout-out to today's presenting sponsor, and a sincere thank you to the best ticketing app in the entire world. That's Game Time. Download the Game Time app. They take the stress out of buying tickets to live events. And I want to tell you a story for a second, because in a past life, I'm almost ashamed to admit it, but I was using a different ticketing app, and I went to check out, and before I knew it, the price almost tripled, maybe even quadrupled, and that's what I love about the Game Time app is they'll provide you the all-in pricing, so it takes any deception out of it, and you know exactly how much it costs with that all-in pricing. There's also flash deals that you can utilize and take advantage of. And yes, that's right. As the day of the event gets closer and closer, those prices go lower and lower. They guarantee the lowest price possible. So whether you're getting out to see the Miami Heat, maybe the Miami Marlins, let's play America's pastime, am I right? We got the NHL season going on as well. The Panthers, one of the best teams in the National Hockey League right now. Either way, you got to download the Game Time app. And with that promo code FINSCHAT, PHINSCHAT, we'll take $20 off. And oh, yeah, we love you and we care about you. So we'll put that link right in the comments of today's video. Download the Game Time app. Take the stress out of buying tickets. Terms do apply. Use that promo code FINSCHAT for $20 off. Now, let's talk Dolphins secondary for a moment because there are a lot of questions outside of the star players in the secondary at the cornerback position. And I love the idea of trading for Jaycee Horn from the Carolina Panthers because, let's face it, the Panthers are a dumpster fire organization right now in a lot of different ways and are in full sell mode before the season even begins. And a guy like Jaycee Horn, who is entering his final year of his rookie contract, makes a lot of sense financially, combined with the production that he's put forth, even on a bad team, is extremely appealing. Now, in 2023, the stats don't necessarily jump off the page, but the Pro Football Focus grade is really appealing there. One of the top-graded corners. Now, he didn't play the entire season, missed some time due to injury, but the fact of the matter is when Jaycee Horn was active, he was one of the few bright spots on a bad Panthers team. When you look at the Dolphins cornerback depth chart, we still don't think Xavier Howard's going to be back after the Dolphins informed him he would likely be cut after the June 1st date. But as Chris Grier alluded to at the NFL Combine, it's not a set-in-stone deal that Xavier Howard will be gone, and that leaves, obviously, Jalen Ramsey, Kader Kohou, and the big question mark, the second-round pick from last year, Cam Smith, out of South Carolina, who did not play at all. And there's question marks in that Dolphins cornerback room, so let me know, should the Dolphins trade for Jaycee Horn? Type Y for yes or N for no. I think it makes a lot of sense financially. However, I'm still intrigued by Cam Smith. And I know I'm not alone. I read the comments. A lot of Dolphins fans, a lot of Dolphins beat writers want to say, hey, what can this kid do? And so much to the fact that Chris Grier was asked about Cam Smith at the NFL Combine, and he said, you watch his preseason stuff, he played very well in the preseason. He got banged up at the end and came back. You know, at the end of the day, he was learning a big system, alluding to Vic Fangio, who is no longer the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins. And when you look at the history of the guys and young players, it takes a little bit, and so he worked hard. Now, I don't think it's necessarily a ringing endorsement, but I do think the door is still open on evaluating Cam Smith. So I ask you, who you taking at quarterback? Type CS for Cam Smith or JH for Jaycee Horn. And I know the trade is sexy and it makes sense, but I still want to see what Cam Smith's got. Because, again, this was a second-round pick who performed well at South Carolina, had very high expectations, but just did not figure it out, or you could say Vic Fangio did not afford him the opportunity to figure it out, and he played less than 25 snaps on defense the entire season, so we don't really know what this kid's got. And who's to say he couldn't be an impactful player at that position after 1 year under his belt? It's almost like they do in the college ranks sometimes, like a redshirt year. So let's see what Cam Smith's got. And I said I'm not alone in this opinion. Jalen Ramsey shares that same opinion, and obviously that's relatively important. So Chris Grier at the NFL Combine referenced a conversation he had with Jalen Ramsey and said in talking to Jalen Ramsey the other day, he was saying he loves Cam Smith's game and thinks he's going to be a good player. And I think that's worth a lot when you consider the fact that Jalen Ramsey is a proven, bona fide superstar at the cornerback position. So I'm with Jalen Ramsey. Let's see what Cam Smith's got. Now, let's talk a little trade on the offensive side of things and the idea of trading for Dallas Goedert, the tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's a guy that's coming off a season in which he battled some injuries, but this is a proven tight end in the National Football League that can impact the game in a multitude of ways. He blocks well, great in receiving, and could add another element to the Dolphins' already potent offense, and at times potent. Other times they really struggled. But you look at the numbers there, 3 touchdowns in 2023. And again, this is a sample size over 14 games because he had that fractured forearm against the Dallas Cowboys that caused him to miss 4 weeks. Now, you look at his production over the course of the last 4 seasons, and it's steady. It's consistent. And a guy that I believe would add an additional wrinkle to the Dolphins' offense, especially when you consider where this tight end room is at right now. Durham Smythe is the top tight end. He was actually the 3rd leading receiver for the Dolphins, but he had less than 400 yards receiving. That's how much receiving work Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill did. Julian Hill, great blocker, but really brings nothing to the passing game, and I don't think Tyler Kroft is going to be back as he is a free agent. So it's a good idea to at least explore the trade market for Dallas Goedert, but the financials could be pretty tough because Goedert is a guy, because he's so proven, he does have a big contract for the Eagles, and it'd be a roughly $9 million cap hit. And how many times have we talked about this? I know it sounds like a broken record, but Dolphins not exactly in the best position in terms of salary cap space. But just for fun, let's try it out and see what it looks like. Trading for Dallas Goedert, the Dolphins would likely have to give up multiple picks and maybe mortgage into next year's draft with a 2025 second-round pick. And it's a lot to give up for a guy that's going to cost you $9 million, but it is at a position of need and maybe could perhaps help Tua and the offense take the next step as far as another red zone target. At times, the Dolphins struggled in the red zone. They definitely didn't get any red zone production out of the tight end. Durham Smythe did not have a touchdown all season. Neither did Julian Hill. So let me know what you think. Would you make this trade, type T for trade, or P for pass? I want to know from you. Let me know down in the comments. And it's a sexy idea. We love trade talk here on Dolphins Today, but I think more applicable or more probably practical, if you will, is addressing the tight end position through the draft. Because just like the offensive line, this class is stacked with very talented tight end draft prospects. Obviously, Brock Bowers and Jaycee Sanders out of Texas are going to take a lot of the headlines. But these other guys as well are, I believe, future NFL tight ends that could help your offense. Cade Stover from Ohio State. I saw Jared Wiley play against West Virginia for TCU. Big body tight end, kind of that old school looking tight end that can also help in the run game. Eric All started his career at Michigan and then transferred over to Iowa with Cade McNamara. And those two guys, before they suffered some injuries, were pretty good for the Iowa Hawkeyes. So, point being, there's a chance that you could address the tight end position through the draft at a more affordable rate without mortgaging future draft picks. That's why I say draft a tight end at some point in the 2024 NFL Draft. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel because it's free, and we bring you daily Dolphins content. Shout out to my producer today, Jeff Cooperstein, on the ones and twos. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Dolphins Today.